Life is all about relationships. Lovers, family, body, or money. How satisfied you are can be completely explained by how you relate to things around you. This is Sophie Jaffe, and together with my husband, Dr. Adi Jaffe, we are here to explore and teach you how to maximize your relationships and achieve a happier life. Let's get ignited. This episode of Ignited is brought to you by Chosen Foods, a San Diego-based health food company best known for starting the avocado oil craze.
You know, I love avocado oil because I can't burn down the kitchen. I mean, it has a really, really high smoke point, like 500 degrees, and a really beautiful neutral flavor, so I don't mess up the food even if I forget it on the stove for a little too long, which, let's admit, happens every once in a while.
Chosen Foods offers a variety of healthy fats and clean label products like avocado oil mayo and avocado-based salad dressings, so yummy. And they're helping people on their wellness journey through the promotion of natural, real food made with clean label ingredients.
So for 50% off your order of $10 and more, all you got to do is visit chosenfoods.com/ignited and use promo code IGNITED50. That's IGNTD 50 during checkout.
Awesome.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Ignited Podcast. I'm Adi Jaffe.
And I'm Sophie Jaffe.
And we're doing a Going Deep episode.
Yay!
I literally feel like it's been months since we've done one of these.
Well, we've also had a lot of stuff going on in our lives, so it feels very full and like we have a lot to share.
We do. We've had a lot of guests, a lot of really amazing guests over here. We've also been busy. I mean, for sure. Everybody knows Noah by now.
Well, life is just full, and we've been traveling, and we've been, more to share soon. It's kind of not being shared yet, but we have some stuff that we're up to and thinking about, and we're so excited in 2019 to share with you guys, and just a lot of shifts and changes, and I think that's taking a lot of our energy.
Yeah, and I feel like these episodes in particular require us to kind of just be able to settle in, pick a topic that we really want to go deep on and really explore, whereas the conversations are kind of just easier.
Yeah.
We get somebody, we see what they're up to, we talk to them, and
this one forces us to sit down for a solid hour and just connect. And
yeah, and you guys write to us all the time about the topics that you want, and so we take that to heart. That's a little bit of where this one is coming from. And yeah, it just requires a little bit more preparation and effort. Yeah. And so
okay, so we have some short announcements, and then we're going to jump right in and go deep.
Short announcements. Well, first of all, again, I want to thank Kevin. You just heard his music beforehand at Kevin Paris Music. He's also got a new album that he just sent to us, and I don't know if he's okay with us sharing that yet, like the actual music or not, but we will ask, and if he is, then we will share.
Yeah, go to his website, check it out. It should be out soon if it isn't already.
Yeah, so check out Kevin. We love his music. It's always amazing, beautiful voice, beautiful accompaniment, beautiful partners that he shares with. It's
beautiful
really,
human. He's just a good human.
Yeah, he's an amazing man. And so check out his stuff. We've had so many different people share about kind of the love for the podcast recently, and
yeah, I was just going to say, while Adi's picking a good person to read about from the reviews, we had a question for you. So we right now have Adi's Friday episode, his addiction episode, go live every Friday. It's very different content. I mean, obviously there's some crossover. Our Wednesday Ignited podcast that goes live is all about relationships and what you've been following along this entire time. And then Adi wanted to start a Friday series where he talks with experts in the field, goes really deep on his own, but kind of shorter snippets, sometimes 15, 20 minutes, going deep on addiction topics. And we were just wondering, do you like this format? Do you enjoy his Friday episodes? Is it confusing? Do you want us to separate the two? Or what we were thinking is this is the beginning of an evolution where maybe on Mondays we start, I start interviewing people, and Motivation Mondays. And maybe Tuesdays We have Leo interview people. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah.
No,
but,
so actually I have kind of a plan. So like Motivation Mondays for sure. I would love if you would interview people.
Wait, but wouldn't it be amazing if Leo interviewed people?
Leo on the street on like Thursdays or something.
But can we have more fun doing this thing?
Yeah, totally. I would actually, I mean, so Tuesday I was thinking could be more like work / achievement, employment,
transformation,
stuff, transforming like your work, career, all that kind of stuff. Because we talk about that a little bit here, but not that much. And I talk about it almost not at all on Friday. And we know some really incredible people in that space. But yeah, as Sophie kind of pointed out,
there's a lot of different topics we can cover, and we'd like Ignited to be the hub for all of that.
Almost like a channel. Like I want you to think about it like your own little radio channel that you just know every morning you get to tune into and hear us and the people that we're connected to giving you wisdom on that specific topic. So thank you for bringing that up.
Ooh, can we get into like life events and news and like, that'd be amazing if we like brought in experts that can connect us to issues going on in the world. I'm literally imagining
like eventually, not right now, because, we would kill ourselves.
Yes.
But like 7 days a week. Yeah. I'm imagining there's a new episode every morning. You get to
even
come
if it's like 15 minutes to an,
Yeah. I mean, some of them could be 5 minutes. Like it could be literally like Motivation Monday could be a 10-minute. Here's what you're going to use today to just make today the best that it can be, right? That's kind of the whole point.
So let us know if you're comfortable with that, if you like that, what inspires you about Ignited. And we have a lot of exciting things coming up, from retreats to workshops. We're collabing with a former guest to do something really, really awesome. So check out the Valentine's episode from last year.
Alexandra Roxo.
Get to know Alexandra, because she's going to be kind of going on tour with us. We're going to do a couple really awesome workshops.
We're going back to Seattle. We're going to do New York.
Yep. And then LA. And then we might throw in another extra cities.
And if you've got some towns that you want us to stop by, this is going to be a super amazing one-day relationship workshops. I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah, so more on that, but just know that Ignited is bringing you a lot of amazing, magical things in 2019, and we're really excited about it.
Yes, yes. And with that, and this one's from Instagram, not from iTunes, but Kiki Whole Life, or Kiki's Whole Life, sorry about that. She shared about our Going Deep episode. I thought that's apropos, given what we're about to do here right now. And she just said, this episode is incredible. You guys said everything I could never put into words. I admire you guys. I love this episode and the episodes about successfully saving any broken relationship and parenting styles. I love this because I love hearing what connects for you guys. As you know, we started this whole thing because of the incredible people that we know, and we wanted to bring those conversations to you. And so I want to know more and more about what connects for you, so we can bring you more of what feels good and what connects. And with that, can I introduce today's topic? Because I love today's topic.
Yeah.
So I saw this on what did I see it? Oh, on the Gottman Institute. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Gottman Institute or not, but the Gottman Institute is one of those places that I read up a lot on when we were struggling in terms of, he's one of the founding, like he has a book called The Marriage Clinic.
We might do some training with them.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do some training with him and really going deep on marriage and relationships and some of the most incredible research. Like he has these 7 pillars of what makes, what can show you right off the bat that a relationship is doomed. I mean, anyway, a lot of really amazing things. I get their newsletter. Go get their newsletter right now if you can. And he had sent in one of these, this word, and the word was Kintsugi, and it has to do with kind of this ancient art around pottery in Japan. And the art is of repairing broken pieces of pottery with gold leafing put into the ceramic so that you see the actual gold veins where the thing had broken before. And obviously he was already using it around relationships, but I told Sophie about it the day that I first got the thing, and I saved it as something I want to talk about because the concept is so incredible and so antithetical to the way most of us learn about relationships. It's amazing to me, right? It's amazing that, and we know it. I mean, so if that's why we're here, that's the reason we're sitting here. The reason we literally did this podcast was because our relationship had cracked and broken and disintegrated and had been brought back. And each time that it went through one of those cycles, it came out stronger, better, and more beautiful than it had ever been before.
Oh, yeah.
But all along the way, the messaging that we got was quit. It
Yeah.
broke, throw it away.
Yeah. Don't fix what's broken.
Yeah, and we live in such a consumer-based kind of world that I think, like, in America, we're the opposite of this Kintsugi thing, right? Something breaks, you toss it.
Oh, yeah.
And you just buy a new fucking thing.
Yep. Consumerism, like just moving on. Oh, I don't like this thing anymore. I'm lazy. I'm just going to pick up the next thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not good at this. I'm just going to quit.
And we do the same thing around relationships.
Yeah.
Oh, it broke.
Yep.
Something was wrong with it.
Bye.
We'll move forward.
Yeah.
It's not that big a deal.
Especially
it's okay.
in the
You'll
world
find
of
somebody
like,
else.
especially in the world of swiping and quick, like instant gratification. Like that's what our society is completely based off of. Like no one knows how to work hard anymore.
Right.
I mean, I went through dozens of interns, dozens before I found Taylor, and it's insanity. It's insanity. It's this generation, but it's also just our society and like how it almost enforces just like tossing things to the side. Just like, no big deal. I'm not going to work for that. Nah, it's too hard. Meh.
Yeah, or like, we had a fight either with your boss or your colleague or whatever, the parking attendant. And you're just kind of like, nah, the vibe felt wrong. It's not the right thing. And we're all for listening to your intuition. But I mean, the newsflash here is nothing is going to be break free. There's not going to be a single experience in your life that is going to start and end without struggle or without pain points.
And I think also, it took years for me to even understand this concept. But when we were in therapy and we would go through a really hard situation, like I would always look at therapy as like, oh, like I don't want to go. We're going to fight. We're not going to get along. We're going to have conflict. It's going to be painful. I'm going to cry. We're going to argue. He's going to see parts of me I don't want to show. Like it was so vulnerable. And at that time I wasn't comfortable with that.
Which is amazing because you're the one that said we got to go to therapy.
Well, I knew we had to because like when my parents divorced, my mom was like, you're going into therapy. So I knew that like that's the fix. I knew that that's the medicine. I knew there was healing in it, but I didn't like it. Like at that point, I didn't look forward to it. It was just like, oh, we have to do this thing, right? Like I don't like going to the doctor, but I know it's important for my health and well-being.
Isn't it amazing what happens around a change in perspective, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about this all the time.
Yeah. And my shift a couple years ago happened when I was like, I actually look forward to conflict with my husband because it means on the other side, we're going to be stronger.
Yeah.
So now I get like a surge of like excitement when we go into a fight because I'm like, oh my God, like tomorrow we're going to be so much closer for it. And same with therapy. Like I would look forward to like, oh, I can't wait for my therapy session tonight because I really want to bring up this topic. I really want to go deeper into this realm, or I really want to like feel him and feel connected to him. And I started to flip the perspective, change the script, and see it as healing and a way to bring us closer. And that was so powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I almost know that if we haven't, I don't want to say fight because I feel a lot of them we fight like 3 or 4 times a year now.
Right.
But like when we have those conflict tension kind of moments, I almost know that if we haven't had one of those in a few months, there's stuff we're not talking about.
Sure.
And I'm just taking responsibility for it. Like this stuff that I hadn't brought up that I probably need to, because life happens and it doesn't always happen the way you want it to. And again, if you run away, and I learned this over and over, like if you run away from conflict, it fixes nothing, right? And all it does is exacerbate the problems you're struggling with in the moment. It doesn't let the person you are in struggle with actually know that that's there. We always want everybody to read our minds, but they don't. And so we end up living in this poisonous kind of soup of all the resentments we have, and nothing gets resolved.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions on my Instagram because I shared 3 months ago when our au pair was coming to live with us, I shared that she was coming, but then I didn't really share a lot of intimate details because I wanted to respect her privacy and also respect our relationship and the potential growth and bringing her into our family and all of that. Like it's a very sensitive, vulnerable time. And I really wanted to give her that respect. Like I never shared her on Instagram. I didn't share anything until I asked her permission a few months into it. And part of that's out of respect, but also because like it is messy. It is messy getting into a relationship with someone. And 2 weeks ago, maybe like even a week and a half ago, we had a really deep dive with our au pair.
Yeah.
And kind of like a, not therapist, but like a middle person. She's like the management.
Like their coordinator.
Their coordinator, but it felt like a therapy session.
Totally.
And we sat for 2.5 hours around our kitchen table, just us. Kids were away. Noah was sleeping, little angel. And we went there. And without that like beautiful 2.5 hours to go deep and all of us get out every single feeling, we would not be where we are right now. And where we are right now,
she probably wouldn't be here right now.
She wouldn't be here. We'd be like, bye. Like, we can't do this anymore. But because we went there, we are now, it is so light.
Yeah. It's almost like there was almost like a blanket over the house before where everybody just walked around on eggshells.
Yeah.
And she would run into her room and be very quiet because she didn't want us to know when she was around.
Anything.
And not
She just wanted to
working.
disappear. She was shrinking all the time, which brought us so much pain because we knew that she was this bright star that we brought in the first place. And it's all just so simple. My point of this is that these intimate relationships have to go through hard times and going deep and connecting and feeling uncomfortable and maybe yelling and maybe crying. And, you know, we went through all of that. And now we're on the other side and it feels so much more connected. I believe the things she's saying. I trust her fully with my children. She trusts us. She doesn't feel like we're trying to ambush her or,
Totally.
you know, like we're
just open. We're
yeah.
finally open.
We're open.
Right.
And let me just say this in terms of someone, if you're out there and you're in a relationship with someone, man, woman, whatever, and you feel like you're so different and there's no way that you're going to come together, I can tell you there probably isn't a different human on this planet than Cinda Siwe, our beautiful au pair, is to us. She's from South Africa. She's just from a different culture and a different way of being brought up. She's such a beautiful human. And that's why I like hand chose her. I was like, wow, she's going to be great for our family and a huge challenge. And she knows how to, you know, be stern with our children, but she's light. She loves the like, she's just great. I love her energy. And again, couldn't be more different. We are so open as you guys. I
totally thought you were going to say how different I am from you. So it's just funny. Yeah, because it's so the three of us in one house too. It's like three completely different human beings.
Adi and I are already so separate and different. As you guys know, you're always like, I love your different perspectives on things. We are very, very different. And then we brought in another person to live in our home. The other adult that's living in this home is very, very different from us. So just know that with the proper communication and honesty and vulnerability, you can get through anything. And that's the key. Like when I look back at that meeting, that 2.5 hour meeting of all the conflicts and all the issues and all the things we all brought to the table, literally and metaphorically, all those things we brought, 90% of them were solved by communication, honesty, and vulnerability.
Yeah, no, totally. And here's the beauty, kind of bringing it back to this Kintsugi concept, is here we are talking about it.
Yep.
Because what's nice about this concept is you can repair, right? There's a million ways to repair broken ceramics. You can repair them like we have that picture frame that Leo wants us to repair. I'm going to try to repair that thing. Or the idea before this episode, maybe it'll change right now, is to repair it as if nothing ever happened to it. Mm-hmm. Right? And so I understand I need to save the relationship. I need to save this thing, this beautiful picture frame with his footprint on it, because it means a lot. But I want to repair it so that when somebody looks at it, they don't know that it ever broke. That's the one version of it. I think people are probably more comfortable with that than even what I want to offer in this. And that is...
Yeah. You know, it's funny because even Leo asked when he brought it in there and was sad, he brought it into our bedroom and was like, can you fix this? Will you know that it broke? And I love where you're going with this. The concept is like, let's make it even more beautiful.
Yeah.
It broke, but look how much more beautiful it is now. Let's add something to it.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is this technique means that when you see a vase, when you see a piece of glass, when you see something that had broken before, you're going to know it broke. You're going to know exactly where it broke. And you're going to say, oh my God, those breaks just made it more beautiful because the cracks are now filled with gold or silver or platinum or whatever. And I see the cracks. They create part of the beauty of the thing.
Which also makes sense, right? It's like wrinkles. Like it makes sense that something is going to age. We've had that around.
But does it so? I mean, there's an entire industry around not having wrinkles.
Sure.
So I'm saying it makes sense. Again, all a matter of perspective, right? From this perspective, this is your life.
Well, it's like about gracefully aging the relationship.
But I think part of the gracefully aging is recognizing wrinkles are not a sign that you're getting broken and irrelevant, but rather wrinkles are part of, like, they go with wisdom. You can't have wisdom without the wrinkles, right?
No.
So by trying to make yourself look other than, by trying to pretend like your relationship, what I'm saying is, like, this is why I appreciate and give so much love to people like Lacey and Daryl and John and Chelsea, who are willing to speak publicly about this. Because when we do it, people look at us and go, oh, well, that's great. You guys are talking about it because you're already past it and everything is better. There might be shame and stigma around the cheating and all that, but it's way in your past. So you're past it. But we know so many couples who struggle with this stuff and don't talk about it. They do it behind closed doors. They hide. They're not there for the honest kind of exploration. They'll try the honest exploration in their own relationship, but then, like, you know, even if they're going through the worst day ever, they have to show up and just put a smile on their face and pretend like everything is okay. What I love about this technique is it's front and center. You don't ignore it. You can't ignore it. That piece will never look the same. It will always have that gold vein running through it, and everybody who will look at it would know that. And if it breaks again, you fix it that way again.
Yep.
And it's such an embodiment to me of what we're doing here, which is stop hiding from your real life. Like, this is your life. You get to live it like this. If your goal is to, when you die, have 70 relationships that all went surface deep and none of them really got challenged and you never grew through it, then by all means do that, right? You just dump every relationship. And I mean every relationship, like friendships, work relationships, romantic, family, dump them all. But if what you want to do is die knowing that you have some core, deep people in your life, people that know you, love you, appreciate you for everything that you have, then you got to start showing what it is that you have. You've got to start showing the imperfections.
And it's not easy. I mean, it's scary. I turn away a lot of times. Like, I love going deep with people, but sometimes it just gets really hard and I want to run away. I want to, run and hide, like, from my own, even like family relationships, close friends, people that I really go there. When it gets that hard and that goopy and like, like my feet are like stuck in the mud and it just feels like quicksand. It's like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's going to take so much work. But then when I do it, it feels so much better. And I would so much rather go through the hard stuff and the muck than just like swimming through.
Well, your family, it's funny because our families deal with this stuff so differently, right? Like, it's not like conflict doesn't exist in my family. It certainly does, but
it's just quick though.
Well, it's kind of quick. Like, some shit just gets hidden. Like, that after my dad passed, I found out that he did things that I never knew about when he was alive. My sister knew about it, but like they knew how much hate I had for him around the first cheating episode. So everything else got erased from me. Like, I didn't get to see it until after he passed. Which might have been a good thing, might have been a bad thing. I don't know, but I never had the opportunity to deal with that with him. He's also the man who told me that I have to tell you, right? So it's like, all these things are complicated and they always have been and they always will be. But your family, like in my family, yes, we deal with the conflict, like in the moment, like, stop doing that, stop talking to me about this, I don't want whatever it is, and we shut it down. Your family goes so deep.
I just feel also like you guys let things go really easily.
Much more easily.
I definitely like admire that. Like, if your sister's in a bad mood, she'll just snap at one of you and then and then there's a thing and then you just let it go and it's gone.
Yeah.
In my family, it's like, at least with my dad and my stepmom, it's like things get drawn out forever. Like, we like talk about things much.
But your mom herself, like, if your mom could go there,
it
would go equally deep. It's just that
my
your mom is your real mom.
Yeah.
I'm saying if your mom could go there, but your mom has this wall where she doesn't actually like, when you try to talk about the deep stuff, she just blocks it off.
No, she will. She just has such a strong perspective on her, like her perspective that you can't penetrate. Like, she thinks she's going deep.
And what I'm saying is,
but it's just like her pushing her own agenda.
And what I'm saying is, with your dad and your stepmom and with Phyllis, it's like, you guys have this way of turning even relatively small things into the deepest discussions I've ever seen in my life. It's insane.
I think there's one thing that definitely unites the three of us is that we're so emotional. Like, we're just so emotional and so full of love, which is so beautiful. Like, I walk somewhere with my dad and, he's crying because of like these children, like the
totally.
emotions, we're all bawling. Like if you go to a movie with my stepmom and my dad and I, like we're all hysterically crying at like a Disney movie. And there's so much beauty in that. But then it's also presents a challenge because we feel things so deeply.
And it's funny. I don't think of it as a challenge, but it's so amazing to watch because it'll be like...
But it's exhausting. Like, it's exhausting to be so emotional. Like,
Is it exhausting to you?
Yeah, I'm always begging you to be more emotional. And I do, like, I'm like, come over to this side. And, like, it is really nice to be in touch with your emotions and, like, feel things so deeply. Like, I feel my gratitude on such a deep level. And I feel my pain on such a deep level. All of it. The pain, the hardships, the love, like my friendships, I cry over my friendships, like all of it, I feel so deeply and it's so nice, but it's exhausting. It's draining to feel things so deeply, which is why I have such a practice surrounding letting things go. And when I take a bath, I'm like actually like releasing all the emotions I pick up throughout the day because that's what I do. I just pick up stuff. Like we did our human design. And one of the things she kept saying is like these certain channels from my head, like through all different chakras are open. Like my heart is just open. So I bring in everyone else's emotions constantly. And so therefore I need to have a practice that helps release those. So I'm not walking around with everyone's emotions all day long because it can be really draining.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting perspective because like for you guys, you will go through these ebbs and flows where you're so connected, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I wish my family was as connected. And then times where you're in conflict because something blew up and it takes you like 2 weeks to get through it.
Yeah.
And that gives me anxiety. Like I couldn't fathom, my family's never been like that. I mean, other than the one time my dad walked out on us, like in my family, it's like at a drop of a hat. Like if money wasn't an issue, let's say we'd fly to Israel 4 times a year to go visit them. They'd come here. My mom's like living in our kids' bedroom because there's no other rooms anymore in the house, and we're just, it all works. And that's the way my family is, and your family's completely different. I mean, they all get along. I love how well our families get along, but it's such a different equation. And yet, I mean, I think one of the conflicts that recently kind of happened in that, and I don't want to get specific about it, but like in that realm is around how much we share. Is around the fact that we talk about everything, and it's like, that's the beauty of it to me. There's
Exactly. But I think that's a fundamental issue I've had with a couple people in my life. Like my best friend from growing up is a very private person, and I am one of the most public people. That's what works for me. That's what's authentic to me, is to share my problem, share the beauty, share the disgust, share the challenge and the struggle. That's what helps me grow and be my brightest version of who I am. So when I'm teaching yoga, I'm sharing from my personal life. When I'm with a client, same thing. That's how I grow and share the most like abundant, beautiful, bright version of who I am if I'm not hiding.
I didn't used to be like that, but I think
I've always been that way
because of the addiction stuff and you and I and all the struggles that we had. What I realized is I actually have to be like that.
You have to.
Because in secret, I'll start developing really unhealthy habits.
Well, and shame builds up for you, from what I've observed, and addictions build up, and like unhealthy habits build up when you hide certain aspects of who you are.
Because I have to protect those aspects. So it's like, and that's what I think that's what's hard for some people to understand sometimes is, you know, they think there's so much pain in the release in the being public. And I say, I totally get it, but that's like momentary pain. That's like in the next 30 minutes to an hour, I'll get over that.
Right.
I mean, I remember sitting in our dining room when you were writing with your staff, like you had like a team meeting about writing the first article you wrote about our sex addiction.
Yep. And I knew that by writing about our sex addiction, it would be helping so many people. It's not easy. It's not easy to be like, I'm married to this guy that cheated on me multiple times. Right. Like, but now it's like, that's my story, and there's no shame. We wouldn't be where we are if we didn't go through that.
No, not at all. I mean, literally, like we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation if that didn't happen. But I remember in that moment, because you guys were literally having a team meeting in our living room. I think I was doing some other work in the dining room. Yeah. And like you're talking about all this shit that up to that point had never been shared.
Yeah.
And I felt the shame. And I think I made a comment even about it. I was like, wow, okay, we're going all the way.
Yeah.
But it was your perspective. So I had nothing to do with writing that article. You were writing your perspective of what it's like to be married to me. And so that was a really matrix kind of like experience to be sitting, listening to what your experience was like, not having it with me, but having it with the public.
Exactly.
And, you know,
and where this is coming from is like with my family, like we had a conflict where my stepmom heard our podcast. What's up, Phyllis? We love you. She was listening to a few episodes back, and she felt hurt about something that we shared on here.
Sure.
Understandably, like totally understandably, because you are like a bird's eye, like you're listening to us have a conversation about our family. But guess what? That's what helps us heal. And that's what, in psychology, everything's about family of origin. Like it's who we are. It's what makes up who we are. The reason a D has trouble being emotional with me is because his family is the way that it is.
Yeah.
I love his family. I would never want any other in-laws ever. They're the most amazing people. It's what made him who he is, but nothing's perfect. And we're going to share. We're going to go there. We're going to share with our people because that's what helps us heal.
Totally.
And we encourage you to find ways to be more vulnerable in your families, in your relationships, when you're dating, with yourself. Go there. And I mean, I think for you yourself, that's where it starts, is journaling, connecting. How can you become more vulnerable and uncover parts of yourself that are keeping you stuck?
And then express them.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about this technique that I love so much. The idea is, because we talk about the deep work all the time and it's amazing and you need to do it, but then don't keep it only for yourself.
No.
Because, to me, the thing is that if you keep it only inside of yourself, if you don't let other people know the barriers, the shame, the struggles that you're going through, then you're still putting on a brave face. You might be doing all the work internally, and that's wonderful. But if other people don't know that you're doing it, then you're still like one of these people that I deal with where you're trying to fix yourself solo so that nobody else will never know you were hurt or nobody else will never know you were damaged. And I think that misses the point. The point is not to look perfect. The people who try to look perfect live fucked up internal lives because it's never that way. They hate themselves. It's like self-flagellation. They're constantly beating themselves up over the fact that they're not perfect. And they might look amazing to you. They might be driving the right car and wearing the right clothes and having the right haircut. But if they're not able to share that with others, if they're not able to have somebody in their life support that really knows their internal struggles and their internal dialogue and the way they actually experience the world, that perfection means nothing. And it's actually painful because they can never take the mask off, which ends up being the most painful of all, is to have to play this role. That's why celebrity self-destruction, this is literally what it's about. When celebrities self-destruct, it's because their management teams, their agents, the people around them do their best to try to keep this facade.
Yep.
And you can't. It will break you at some point. And so you don't have to live through that. You don't have to believe me by living through that fame.
We see it all the time.
But just know that in your own life. If you shift your perspective from, oh my God, we're going through a struggle, this will never work out, to, oh my God, we're going through a struggle, we get to fix this and we will be a million times stronger. Think of broken bones, right? When a bone breaks and the calcium deposits, it makes it stronger. It makes that bone stronger in the place where it broke than ever before. And if you can shift that perspective in your own life, you'll get that growth yourself instead of trying to run away from the pain all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was actually thinking earlier when we were talking about aging and wrinkles, Cameron Diaz wrote a book called The Longevity Book.
Yeah.
And it's all about gracefully aging. It's all about embracing who you are as you age at every step along the way. It's easy to embrace yourself when you're 23 and have like the most fit body of your life and you're super healthy and not a wrinkle in sight. Like that's easy. But as you move into, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, gracefully moving into aging and embracing it all along the way, like that, I highly suggest. We'll put it in the show notes, but Cameron Diaz's
new book.
Longevity Book.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, it speaks to those wrinkle things that you were talking about before. It's
like no hiding.
and I'm going through it right now. Right?
Of course.
42 years old.
Yeah.
You look in the mirror, now my eyes can't even fake myself into thinking that I'm still 25, 30 years old. Like the physical changes are starting to collect there's enough of them now that you can't ignore the aging. And yet internally, I don't feel all that different. Mm-hmm. And there's a piece to you that kind of says, I wish that it were different. But yeah, it's that idea of how much work am I going to do to hide from who I really am and what I've actually been through, right? I have actual scars on my face. I have there's things that have happened in life, and it's such a matter of just changing the way you look at it from, I want this to be perfect and blemish free, to I want this to be a real representation of who I am.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I think to me when I first saw this, because
did you read the quote? The actual, is it a quote or is it just a concept?
It's a concept and a description of the concept.
Did you describe it already?
I didn't. I'm looking at the Wikipedia one for it, but I can do that, and then I'll look up the one from John Gottman. So, Kintsugi, also known as Kintsugi Kuri, is a Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with lacquer dusted or mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum, a method similar to the maki technique. As a philosophy, it treats breakage and repair as part of the history of an object rather than something to disguise. And then under the philosophy piece, there's something more, which says, it can be seen to have similarity to wabi-sabi, an embracing of the flawed or imperfect. Japanese aesthetics values marks of wear by the use of an object. This can be seen as a rationale for keeping an object around even after it has broken, as a justification of the technique itself, highlighting the cracks and repairs as simply an event in the life of an object, rather than allowing its service to end at the time of its damage or breakage.
So beautiful.
Yeah. And if you listen to that last line, rather than allowing the service to end at the time of its damage or breakage, it goes back to that either the relationship or yourself, right? Like by trying to hide those blemishes, the imperfections, the story of your journey, you're kind of writing yourself away a little bit. You're saying, I want to discount that, right? I want to ignore the age that I'm at. I want to ignore all the experiences I've gone through. I'm 42 years old, but I want to pretend to people like I'm 25, which means I want to write out the last 17 years of my life.
There's a disconnect there. You can feel that. And that's where the inauthenticity comes in. And you just hit it. Like when I meet someone and they're in their 60s or they're in their whatever, and they're getting tons of Botox or surgery, and, especially living in LA. I mean, if you don't live in LA, it probably isn't as much in the forefront. You probably just see it on TV, but I run into people all the time that have work done. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with work. If that's what floats your boat, I've gone into this with my girlfriends before, because several of my girlfriends who are actually younger than I am have gotten work done. And I mean, it's just not who I am. That's not where, and I'm not saying I won't ever do anything, but my perspective, because, my mom never got any work. I never even read a People magazine until I moved to LA when I was 18. So I had a complete lack of awareness. I had a very wholesome upbringing. And to me, you just embrace growing up. You just, my mom has gray hairs and she's aging beautifully.
And your dad had gray hair when he was 30.
My dad had gray hair when he was 30. And to me, that's just a part of who you are. You don't hide that. But you have to have a healthy lifestyle and a healthy, love yourself, a healthy perspective of who you are, because that's what you feel. You feel as people age, I feel like babies and older people, that's when you can feel their spirit most. And when you're young, 20s, 30s, you see the outside appearance. You're like, oh, look how great their body is. Look how glowing their skin is. You notice all of the physical things and it gets in the way. As you get older and you age, I see in someone's eyes their spirit.
Yeah.
And that is so much more beautiful than whatever's on the outside. So if you're covering that up with lots and lots of work, or hiding, or dressing like you're way younger, or whatever it is that you're doing to try and cover up, like you said, all those
if you walk around Beverly Hills, it's that's all you see.
It's awful. And just know that you are beautiful, and we want to see the real you, and we can't see it if you're, it's just more confusing. It's a disconnect.
Yeah, no doubt. If you think about something like Botox, for instance, right? It literally paralyzes your muscles. That's how it gets rid of wrinkles, is it paralyzes the muscles so they relax. Crazy. And they don't show tension. And so if you think about that, then that's why people don't have the facial expressions that they'd be able to have otherwise. You literally can't express yourself the same way.
It's so sad.
And it just sucks that we've gotten to a place where that's appreciated, right? We're kind of being a mask, a literal mask, like wearing your own face as a mask to who you are is a positive. And then what sucks from my angle and with the people that I work with is just to think that for some people that's preferable to others around them knowing who they really are.
Yeah.
It's like being locked up in a prison in your own head.
Well, it just becomes a habit. Just like now I embrace the perspective of, okay, when we fight or when we go to therapy or when we have conflict, we're going to be on the other side and be closer for it, whether it's with our au pair or a family member, whoever it is with us. When we go through that point of conflict, I know on the other side we're going to be closer. It's the same kind of perspective switch. Like every wrinkle that I get is evidence of my happiness, is of a smile.
Right.
You know, like literally you have smile wrinkles.
Totally.
Like that's where I have wrinkles, is because I smile so much and so fully and I'm laughing, you know, like that is such beauty. And if you can focus on that part and grow from there and just continue to see that evolution as just that, an evolution of your time spent here on earth and living it to the fullest, how can you possibly argue that that's not beautiful?
Absolutely. And maybe we're getting near the end and I want to I think this whole thing is a relationship tip, so I don't know that we really need a relationship tip per se, but if you look at the people you admire in the world, if you just pause for a moment and you look at the people that you look up to, I guarantee part of what you love about them is their own journey to where they are right now. You're not attracted to yourself. Even if you're trying to be that right now, you're not attracted to people who have perfect lives.
Yep.
Because
you may be fascinated by them.
Sure. But
you know why you're fascinated? Because you're trying to see that little spot.
It's like that. You mentioned People magazines, like celebrities, they're just like us.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that
they pump
segment.
gas. Okay. They're imperfect.
Yeah.
Like it's like everyone's just looking to how we can relate. We can all relate on something.
Yeah.
And the people that are perfect, like you said earlier, are just hiding. There is no perfect.
Totally.
And that's refreshing. That can let you let yourself go. Like release the idea that there is anything about life that is perfect. It is not happening.
Yeah.
For anyone.
Noah's perfect.
Noah's perfect.
But other than Noah.
But you know what? Soon she won't be.
I know.
You know, it's like this purity and you want to hold on to it as long as possible. And like we see our kids as perfect, but they can be challenging in certain ways and they can create conflict in school and they can not listen. And and Noah will start to be that too. But just as like the beginning is pure and the end is pure, like holding on to that as long as possible, but then giving in to the fact that there is imperfect qualities to being a human.
Yeah.
And that is what makes it beautiful.
Yeah. And starting to embrace it. So here's my challenge to everybody listening to this right now. I want you to screenshot this page, whatever you're listening to this on right now. I want you to tag us and I want you to share and tag an experience and a person that really relates to you from this Kintsugi standpoint. So either relationships that you already know have been through these struggles and these breaks and they've come out on the other side and you've already done the work of painting the gold in there so that everybody sees their beauty through their imperfections. Or if you haven't, and this might be even more powerful for you as a life experience, if there are relationships that you've been shying away from or hiding yourself from because they weren't as expected, they weren't the perfection that you were looking for, but now listening to this perspective, you see that there's room for improvement there. You don't have to throw them away. You don't have to throw away the tool, the vessel, the beautiful bowl, the beautiful pottery that you have in your hand, this relationship, because it's imperfect, but there are things that you can do to help paint the cracks in gold. Because to me, this is absolutely one of those life lessons that if you can start employing for yourself, you'll have such deeper relationships with the people in your life because they'll understand, even if they don't know this and they're not listening to this right now, they will understand the effort put out and they will appreciate that somebody has this much stake in the beauty and the depth of the relationship instead of throwing it away when it doesn't just pan out in the moment.
Exactly. And I definitely just want to touch, because this is related. I've had a lot of questions about friend breakups because I've gone through a lot and I've talked about it. And I feel like, and I just want to kind of brush on this really quickly, but I feel like most of the close, intimate relationships in my life that I've experienced have gone through this version of a friend breakup. And I think it's partially my own responsibility because I love so fully and I jump in so wholly. And, you know, from my college roommate, like we were inseparable and obsessed with each other and couldn't get enough and spent every single minute together. When we weren't together, we were communicating the entire time. Like that's how I kind of jump in so fully with friends and family and, you know, lovers. And I think that's beautiful. And I embrace that about myself. But I also know that at a certain point that can't be sustained. So there has to be like a breaking point for me in my relationships. And that's kind of the toss up that I create, is that if I'm going to love so fully and so intensely, there's gonna at some point be a breaking point, and that's okay and that's natural. And that doesn't mean that that person doesn't love me. And it doesn't mean I don't love them. It means that it's just the natural progression of the energy. Like that intense build, it has to go somewhere. It's just like putting someone on a pedestal. It's the same idea. It's gonna come down at some point. It can't just keep accelerating. So for the friendships in my life, even now, currently, people that I love so intensely, at some point when we get that connected and that close, that bond at some point, like it just has to release a little bit.
Yep.
And we go through a friend breakup, and that's okay. You and I went through a breakup. We went through a 10-month breakup because it just got too intense. And you can look at it from all different perspectives, but at the end of the day, all of these relationships in my life, they excel, intense, love, so much intensity, so much closeness, so much intimacy. And then they break at some point. And I'm in one right now with one of my closest friends, and it's all good because I know that we still have love between us, and we're going to come out on the other side better, more mature, more connected, with better communication, and that the friendship may change, but it will be better for it.
You know, it's funny. I'm on like an 8-year breakup with my closest, one of my closest friends ever. And I remember saying the exact same thing to him, our last conversation, because he's essentially kind of cut me out. But I remember saying to myself, I love you just the same as I always have, but obviously there's something here. And until you're ready to talk about that something, there's not a friendship here.
That's the thing. Like, and he knew it.
Yeah.
That's why he walked away. He knew it. And same as this friendship, I kind of like gave her a talk. It wasn't an ultimatum, but it was like, if you're going to be doing this unhealthy thing in your life,
or just whatever, like you had reached your boundary.
I reached my breaking point. I reached my boundary, and I said, this is a hard boundary.
And that's how these things always work out.
And she walked away. Yeah. And because out of respect, honestly, just like with you and your best friend from childhood, out of respect, he was like, I'm not going to just keep pretending here. Like, you're calling me all my shit. I refuse to stand here and
I don't want to. This is not something I want to do right now.
No, I can't. I can't go there.
Yep.
And we expect and demand a lot out of people and friends. I'm a very demanding friend. Like, I need you to show up and tell me everything. Like, there are no secrets. There are no uncovered, stones, no rocks left unturned. Like, I need to know it all.
Well,
and then
we live
in return, you'll get mine back.
Yeah, we live with that sense of purpose in everything we do. And so that gets under people's skin sometimes.
It's a big expectation to uphold. And so in both of these parallel relationships that we're explaining, like mine is a more recent friendship. We've only been friends for 5 years, but we were so close on so many different levels. And you two were so close. And it's like, if you don't separate, you can't have that perspective and you can't begin again. And totally. I mean, literally from my high school, middle school best friends to my college best friends to now, like I've gone through this sort of a breakup with everyone I love and everyone I'm closest to. And it is normal transformation. It's like the death, right? You have to have the death to be reborn.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that thing where not only do you throw the old like a broken thing into the trash,
right,
but then you resent it for being in the trash,
right?
Like I think that's the other maybe lesson here is if you don't want to do the work and you don't want to take out the gold leafing and repair, that's fine. That's your decision to make.
I think sitting with it is really important too. Like for me in growth, sitting with the uncomfortable feelings has been something that's one of the biggest challenges for me, but also the most transformative. Like I am sitting here with all the broken pieces surrounding me. I'm not pretending. I wake up every morning with a heaviness of those broken pieces in bed with me.
Yeah.
But I know when we're ready to put those pieces back together, it's going to be so much more beautiful. And one of my best friends that, we hung out with this weekend, she and I, like, we joke about those things now. Like, we laugh about.
You had like a full on.
We were broken up for months.
Yeah.
Broken up for months, and it got deep and dark and heavy and mean, and it went there. And it's unfortunate that it has to be so painful, just like with you and I. It's unfortunate that like cheating had to happen, and pain and resentment, and that I had to feel certain things and you had to feel. It's unfortunate, but like when you feel so deeply, it's only natural.
Yep.
These things you have to feel on both ends of the spectrum. But guess what? The ecstasy that I experience in my relationships is so worth this other side.
Totally.
And the vulnerability and the rawness, that closeness and intimacy that I experience in all my relationships are there because of this shadowy opposite spectrum.
Yep.
You can't have the light without the dark. And if you want the extreme light and the extreme connectiveness, you have to go there. You have to be vulnerable. You have to go into the dark parts of who you are and share and show up as that person.
Absolutely. So that's our challenge for you for this week.
Yeah.
Figure out where you can do this work to make your life better. Stop throwing away the things that are imperfect. They are the things that are going to make your entire life worth it in the end.
Start practicing.
Well,
yeah.
We went deep.
And on that note, if you'd like to go even deeper, we have a relationship course. It's really, really affordable. It's a 3-hour course, isn't it? Didn't we chat for 3 hours?
It's a 3-hour course. And let me remind you, because this is the announcement we told everybody we're going to have, we're going to give away 5 of those memberships in a giveaway. And so you'll get to learn how to do this communication, how to do all this stuff to be able to practice this in your own life. We are going to announce the winners in next week's episode with a fun special guest. And so in the show notes, you'll see what you got to do. You got to go on Instagram. You got to do the tagging. You got to, blah, blah, blah. I don't even remember all the little steps, but we will have them in there. Go do that, because then you got to tune into next week's episode and listen for the winner, and you'll get to do it. And for those of you who don't win, it's literally a 3-hour workshop Sophie and I put together that a few hundred people have been through at this point, and it costs less than a single therapy session.
Yep. And it just has tools and tricks, things that have worked for us. Take it or leave it. There's tons of tools there. So something's going to work for you in your relationship. And even if you're not in a relationship, it's a great thing to have as you go into new relationships in your life, whether they be friendship or love. These are all tools that can be taken across the board in terms of every type of relationship in your life.
Absolutely.
From communication to intimacy. It's all there. So we love you. Thank you for tuning in.
See you next week.
See you next week. Well, talk to you next week. Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Ignited podcast. We were so happy to have you along for this ride. Please go and subscribe to this. Leave us a review. We love hearing from you. And if you want more, don't forget to go to ignited.com, where all the podcast episodes are available with show notes and so many of the little details and links from each one of these interviews. And you can look at all the future events that we have going on, all the things that make Ignited so special, even beyond this recording. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.